March 27th, 1902, Volume 4. Teachings of Jesus about Justice. Finding myself outside of myself, I went in search of my most sweet Jesus, and while going around I saw him in the arms of the Queen Mother. Tired as I was, all daring, I almost snatched him, and I took him in my arms, telling him, "My love, is this your promise that you would not leave me, when in the past days you have barely come, if at all?" And he, "My daughter, I was with you, only you have not seen me with clarity. Had your desires been so ardent as to burn the veil that prevented you from seeing me, you would certainly have seen me." Then, as though wanting to give me an exhortation, he added, "You must be not only upright, but just. Into justice enters loving me, praising me, glorifying me, thanking me, blessing me, repairing me, adoring me, not only for oneself, but for all the other creatures. These are rights of justice, which I demand from each creature, and which are due to me as Creator. And one who denies to me even one of these rights can never be called just. Therefore think about fulfilling your duty of justice, for in justice you will find the beginning, the means, and the end of sanctity." March 27th, 1918, Volume 12. By living in the divine will, the soul finds everything in a divine and infinite way. I was lamenting to Jesus, for I could not even listen to Holy Mass. And Jesus told me, "My daughter, am I not the one who forms the sacrifice? Now, since I am present in each sacrifice, the soul who lives with me and in my will remains sacrificed together with me, not in one Mass, but in all Masses. And since she lives in my will, she remains consecrated with me in all the hosts. Never go out of my will, and I will let you reach any place you want. Even more, there will be such electricity of communication between you and me that you will not do one act without me, and I will not do one act without you. Therefore, when you lack something, enter into my will, and you will find ready whatever you want, as many Masses as you want, as many communions, as much love as you want. Nothing is missing in my will. Not only this, but you will find things in a divine and infinite way." March 27th, 1923, Volume 15. Sorrows of the Sacramental Life of Jesus. Graces and gifts with which he anticipates souls in order for them to receive him. After I received communion, my sweet Jesus made himself seen, and as soon as I saw him, I threw myself at his feet to kiss them and to cling to him with all of myself. And Jesus, extending his hand to me, told me, "My daughter, come into my arms and even inside my heart. I have covered myself with the Eucharistic veils so as not to strike fear. I have descended into the deepest abyss of humiliations in this sacrament in order to raise the creature up to me, identifying her with me so much as to form one single thing with me, and by letting my sacramental blood flow inside her veins, constitute myself life of her heartbeat, of her thought, and of her whole being. My love devoured me and wanted to devour the creature in my flames, to make her be reborn as another me. This is why I wanted to hide myself under these Eucharistic veils and, so hidden, enter into her, to form this transformation of the creature into myself. But in order for this transformation to take place, the dispositions were needed on the part of creatures, and my love giving in to excess, in instituting the sacrament of the Eucharist, released from within my divinity more graces, gifts, favors, and light for the good of man, to render him worthy to receive me. I could say that it released so much good as to surpass the gifts of creation. first I wanted to give him the graces in order for him to receive me, and then myself to give him the true fruit of my sacramental life. However, in order to anticipate souls with these gifts, it takes a little emptying of themselves, hate of sin, and desire to receive me. These gifts do not descend into rot, into mud. Therefore, without my gifts, they do not have the true dispositions to receive me, and in descending into them, I do not find the space to communicate my life. I am as though dead for them, and they are dead for me. I burn, and they do not feel my flames. I am light, and they remain more blinded. Alas, how many sorrows in my sacramental life! Many, feeling nothing good in receiving me because of lack of dispositions, reach the point of nauseating me. And if they continue to receive me, it is to form my continuous Calvary and their eternal damnation. If it is not love that pushes them to receive me, it is one more affront that they give me, one more sin which they add to their souls. Therefore pray and repair for the many abuses and sacrileges that are committed in receiving me in the sacrament. March 27th, 1932, Volume 30. Condition of assurance for the coming of the kingdom of the Fiat upon earth. The manifestations on the divine will be the fierce army of love, weapons, and net to conquer the creature. I was feeling all immersed in the divine volition, and oh, how many thoughts crowded my mind, and its light formed its waves, and one followed the other, and these waves converted into voice, into murmuring, into celestial music. But oh, how difficult it is to retain the language of that interminable light. While being inside of it, one seems to comprehend much, but as soon as the light withdraws, only a few tiny little drops are left, and the sweet and unforgettable and dear memory of having been in the light of the eternal Fiat. If blessed Jesus did not operate a miracle, lowering himself with a way more adaptable to the human nature, I would not have been able to say a thing. So I felt in my mind the picture of the kingdom of the divine will, and I wanted Jesus to tell me what ones were the conditions for it, so as to be certain of its coming. And my celestial teacher, visiting the little newborn of his will, told me, "My blessed daughter, the conditions, absolute, necessary, and of highest importance, that form the life and the nourishment in order to ensure the kingdom of my divine will are to ask of the creature great sacrifices and prolixity of long sacrifice. Therefore our goodness, by virtue of the sacrifice it asks, must give surprising graces to the one of whom this sacrifice is asked, in such a way that to the creature, captivated by my love, by my gifts, and by my graces, the sacrifice that I ask of her will seem nothing, even though she knows that her life is ended. She will no longer have any right over herself. All the rights will belong to the one who is asking for her sacrifice. If she did not know all the intensity of the sacrifice that she is accepting, it would not have all the value, because the more one knows the greatness, the weight of the sacrifice, the more value is placed in it. Knowledge places the exact and complete value in the sacrifice. On the other hand, for one who does not know all the weight of a sacrifice, oh, how diminished are the value, the grace, the good that he must obtain. And then our love remains wounded. Our power feels powerless before a creature of whom we ask great sacrifices, making her know the weight to which she must submit, and she, only for love of us and to fulfill our will, accepts everything. The prolicious sacrifice brings the prolixity of prayer, and oh, how our ears become all attention, and our gazes remain enraptured in seeing that, from within the stake of the sacrifice wanted by us, she prays. And what does she ask and want? What we ourselves want, that our will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Ah, if she could, she would turn heaven and earth upside down. She would want everything in her power to make everyone ask for what she wants, so that her sacrifice may obtain the intent and bring the fruit wanted by God. Our paternal goodness is such that it is impossible for us not to grant the purpose of a long sacrifice and of a prolicious prayer. These are the conditions on the part of creatures, and this we have done with you, and we want you to know it, because we do not give our things to the blind who, because of their blindness, do not know the goods that are given to them or those that are around them. Much less so to the mute, who because of their muteness do not have words to manifest our truths and our graces. The first thing we give is the knowledge of what we want to make of her, and then we give and do what we have disposed. Knowledge can be called the beginning, the void, the seed for where to place the sacrifice and our things, and make the beautiful prayer arise that debilitates us, enchains us with chains with inseparable bonds, and makes us grant what she wants. More so since, our will being life and work, that gives life to everything and to everyone, in order to come to reign upon earth. It wanted, on the part of the human family, one life of creature at its disposal, that, without opposing, would remain at the mercy of its divine will, that it might do with her whatever it wants. This will serve it as support and condition in order to ensure the kingdom on the part of creatures. Now come the conditions of assurance on the part of God. But to whom could I give them, if not to the one of whom I had asked the sacrifice? So my long prolixity in manifesting so many truths on my divine will, my prolonged speaking on its kingdom, and on the good it wants to do and must do, its long sorrow of about 6,000 years, for it wants to reign and they rejected it, the many promises of goods, of happiness, of joy, that it wants to give if they let it reign, have been nothing other than assurances that I have given to the creature of this kingdom of my fiat. And these assurances were made and sealed inside the most beautiful thing, the most sacred, the most precious. That is, in the center of the stake of your sacrifice wanted by us. I can't say that I never tire giving assurance. I speak, I return to speak, always with new ways, of new truths, new forms, surprising similes, always on my divine will. I would never have said so much if it were not certain that my kingdom is to have its dominion upon earth. Therefore it is almost impossible that a speaking of mine so prolicious and a sacrifice of yours so continuous would not have their longed-for fruits on the part of God and on the part of creatures. Therefore continue your flight in the fiat that has the power to make its way, to knock down all difficulties, and by dint of love, to make of its fiercest enemies its most faithful friends and defenders. Then he added, my daughter, my conception, my birth, my hidden life, my gospel, the miracles, my pains, my tears, my blood that was shed, my death, united all together, formed an invincible army in order to accomplish my redemption. In the same way, all my manifestations on my divine will, from the first to the last word that I will speak, must serve to form the fierce army, all of love, of invincible strength, of irresistible light, of transforming love. They will cast a net around the creature such that if she wants to get out, she will be caught inside. She will remain so entangled as to be unable to get out of it. And while she tries to get out, my manifestations about my will continue to assail her in such a way as to extend its net even more. So seeing herself entangled, she will get a taste for the so many beauties of truths, and will feel happy for having been caught in the net of so many of my truths manifested. So they will form the fulfillment of the kingdom of my divine will. Therefore each of my manifestations on it is a weapon that must serve to complete a kingdom so holy. If I manifest it and you do not say it, you will cause the necessary weapons to be lacking. Therefore be attentive. In addition to this, you must know that each word come out of the uncreated wisdom contains life, substance, work, instruction. So each manifested truth on our divine will have its own office in our kingdom. Many truths will have their office of forming and growing the life of the divine will in the creature. Others will occupy the office of nourishing it. Others will act as teachers. Other truths will have the office of defenders, in such a way that they will place themselves around the creature like an army, so that no one will be able to touch her. See then the necessity of my speaking, so precious, and of the many truths I have manifested. It was a kingdom that I had to form, that is not formed with few words, with few acts and offices. It takes so many of them. And each truth of mine has the virtue of occupying an office in order to maintain perfect order, perennial peace. It will be the echo of heaven, and they will swim inside a sea of graces, of happiness, under a sun that knows no clouds. The sky will always be serene. My truths on my divine will be the only laws that will dominate the creatures who will enter to live in this kingdom. Laws not of oppressions, but of love, that will sweetly make themselves loved, because in them they will find the strength, the harmony, the happiness, the abundance of all goods. Therefore courage, and always forward in my divine will. End of March 27th. Fiat.